We are at E3 2016 and we're catching up on a game that I played many years ago, Final Fantasy XII and the Zodiac Age, the new version of the game that is coming out. And my first question would be, why do you want to revisit Final Fantasy XII? Why now? And yeah, what's the reason for it?
So the discussion for developing a remaster has been in the works for several years now, actually. But the condition was for the core members of the original dev team to come back to work on a remaster as well, and that was took a little bit of adjustments to get coordinate their schedules. So this time we were able to gather all the core members to work on this remaster, and here we are with a playable demo. Another aspect of it was that with the successful release of the FF10 and 10.2 remasters, that sort of gave us the encouragement to give our project a push forward.
So one thing that I find fascinating with Final Fantasy is that each game is such a unique experience. It has a unique theme and not just the characters and everything like that, but they really feel like they stand alone on. And what about Final Fantasy XII is it that you feel is that special thing and that is the most important thing to take away?
So there are 2 points. One is the fact that the classic FF series has always had random encounters in which you're moving through the field and you would encounter an enemy and go into battle. Whereas with Final Fantasy XII, you had the seamless battles in which you saw the enemies coming as you're moving through the fields, so you can experience real-time battles. That's one of the first things that makes Final Fantasy XII unique. And the second element that makes Final Fantasy XII unique is the gambit system, which enables the player to program certain behaviors for the other characters during battle. So another aspect of that gambit system is that you were able to control behaviors according to their distance from the enemy, which added an element of space and distance to the battle. So whereas we called the classic battle systems for the Final Fantasy series ATB, we called the battle system for FF12 ADB, Active Dimension Battles. So that's one of the other aspects of what makes Final Fantasy XII unique.
I heard you talk about the significance of getting the team back together. I don't know if that's always the case when you make sort of a remaster or an HD, but why did you feel that you needed to get the original talent back, and what was the importance of that?
So the development for Final Fantasy XII was quite densely packed in terms of there was a lot of detail and thought going into the character growth and the visuals and background and in terms of sound and everything. It was quite a bit of volume in terms of development, and not to mention all the grinding aspects in the gameplay as well. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose any nuances upon transferring that work that we put into the PS2, remastering for the PS4, and preserving the style of the PS2 while also making improvements and adding new features.
Obviously, a lot of people who are watching this have played the game, so if you have a favorite scene or moment in the game that you could describe, I would like to get both of you perhaps to tell us about that. If you don't spoil anything towards the end, perhaps, but if there's something else.
Mr. Kato loves everything about this game, actually. Yeah. In terms of the character, the system of growing your characters and going on explorations and adventures, and even with the battles, it feels like this is a classic RPG, a classic way of enjoying RPGs. And upon revisiting this game when we decided to remaster, he really felt like this is almost a culmination of what an RPG is supposed to be. Mr. Katano as well. He enjoys all the cutscenes and all the battles that we've developed into the game. And speaking of the battles, that we actually have overhauled the game, the balance of the game, basically. So it should be a brand new gaming experience for those of the players who have played it before, as well as for the fresh experience for the new users who've never played it before.
Another thing, the significance of the Zodiac Age. I know it sort of adds things that Western audiences haven't played before. What can you tell us of that, and what should people expect?
So there are two major points that we want to talk about in terms of what we've introducing through the Zodiac job system. One is, of course, with the job system, which is not a part of the first Final Fantasy XII. This introduces the classic jobs that we've seen in the series, such as Knight and Archer and Black Mage. And the reason we wanted to introduce this was because the original Final Fantasy XII used a license board that enabled the user to grow their characters. But what ended up happening was, as you advance through the story, they all kind of grew into the same sort of skills, and they became almighty Supermen in the end. So in order to add an element of challenge and to make the game more interesting, we introduced a job system to assign one job to each character and enjoy the character growth in another way. And as a continuation of that, as Mr. Katano had mentioned earlier, we really have revised the game balance overall. So it should that combined with the job system should provide a completely different game experience for those who haven't even tried to play the FF12 before. And the second major feature we added from the Zodiac job system is the trial mode, which basically lets the user play using the player party from the main game, and play through 100 stages of various battle scenarios. It's basically a way to grind even further and delve deeper into the gameplay. It's specifically made so that even if you have your members maxed out at level 99, you still won't be able to get past a certain stage unless you have your gambit set right. So it's a way to enjoy get your most out of the gambit system as well.
It seems like it's a great time to be a Final Fantasy fan, both revisiting old and getting new games. I'd like to thank you both for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.